Hi there. So I'm currently a locum doctor and I'm not part of any training program. That means I create my own schedule. I choose when to work, I choose when to take time off, and I have complete control over my work patterns. But is the instability worth the freedom? Is the golden era of locum work coming to an end? Who knows? Today I'm going to be talking about the pros and cons of being a locum, how to find work, bank versus agency, what this means for the NHS, and whether I would do anything different if I had the power to turn back the hands of time. So let's get into it. Dr. Mansour here, and this is the Mansour Medic channel. For those that didn't know, a locum doctor is essentially a freelance worker, filling in rota gaps where staff are needed. That's what I've been doing for the past year and a half after finishing my foundation training. So let's get into the pros and cons. First off, the most significant benefit of being a locum is that you have autonomy over your work patterns. You can choose which shifts you want to do based on your social and financial commitments. In the case of unexpected absences and last-minute cancellations, you could potentially be paid at a higher rate. And that means you can work less whilst earning the same or even more than those that are working full-time. Now, the hourly rate depends on your geographical location. The general rule is that rural areas tend to pay higher than big cities due to difficulty in recruitment. As a result of this flexibility, you can construct your work-life balance in a way that suits you, making it far less likely for you to burn out. You can get experience in various specialities, different hospitals, and just broaden your clinical horizon. On a lot of the cases, you can actually tailor your experience towards a specific interest, making you stand out from your competition. And I believe healthy competition helps us grow as individuals. What about the cons of being a locum doctor? Well, you only get paid the hours you work, leading to significant variability in your payslip. And this can make it harder to plan financially because you won't know exactly how much you've been paid until you see your payslip. You might have a general idea using a pay calculator, but because life is so chaotic, no month will be predictable in terms of available shifts. So you have to be comfortable with the uncertainty of your monthly finances. You're not entirely secure. Now, career progression is generally stagnant. Although it is possible to progress as a locum, generally it's a lot harder and requires a lot more time, effort, and organization compared to being in an actual training program. So that's something to bear in mind. However, if you make the conscious effort to continue to develop yourself, improve your clinical skills, gain new competencies and experience, your medical practice will continue to evolve, making you on par with registrars and in very, very rare cases, even consultant. But that depends on how long you be a locum and how much effort and attention you put into your clinical development. It's also cool knowing that you can take the exams required for trainees in your locum year, meaning that you can take more time to study and do better in the exams. However, depending on where you work, you won't be seen as a regular member of the team. And in some cases, that can be quite isolated. Personally, I don't mind because I know I'm just there to help run the service. But when you're in a team with familiar people and you know each other's quirks and habits, it can make working in a department that much smoother. Shifts are not guaranteed. There was a time when locum work was in abundance, but that seems to be changing slowly. And for the very first time recently, I have had some shifts cancelled on me because the hospital have found contracted workers to fill in those gaps instead. And that saves the hospital money. So let's talk about finding work through bank or agency. I'll give you a quick differentiation between the two. Bank basically refers to registering at a specific hospital or health board on an ad hoc basis, and agency is an independent organization that provides staff across a wide range of hospitals across the country. So let's start with bank. Instead of the hospital paying high fees to agencies, bank refers to a list of pre-approved doctors that the hospital can choose to fill in those gaps. Most of the time, booking shifts is relatively straightforward. You just have to look through the rota and then choose shifts based on available vacancies. In other cases, the rota coordinator may contact you on an urgent basis if there's been an unexpected gap that needs to be filled. The registration process is similar to applying to any job. Most of the time, hospitals will have advertisement on the temporary staffing website, or you can contact HR to inquire about any vacancies. Once your application has been submitted, you then have to provide documents such as GMC registration, a DBS check, occupational health status, your right to work such as a passport, references, and evidence of mandatory training. Now, it's essential to start this registration process from early because it can take a while to get you on your feet as a locum doctor. So when I started, I actually inquired in July of 2024, and it wasn't until October 2024, that same year, that the required paperwork was done to get me started officially as a locum doctor, resulting in significant delays in pay and work. So it's important to start the process early if you're thinking of becoming a locum. Now, the good thing about being registered with the bank is that most of the time you're in a familiar environment. A lot of doctors register with hospitals that they've already worked in for several months or years, making the transition seamless. Hospitals will generally prioritize choosing bank staff over agency staff because agencies tend to come with extra fees. Due to being paid by the hospital, it's easier to claim for things like travel and contribution to your pensions. The disadvantages to be aware about though with the bank staff is that you're generally tied down to one hospital or one health board, meaning if you want to work in a different hospital or health board, you have to do the whole registration process all over again, and that can be very time consuming. Another disadvantage is that you may not get to work in your favorite department, as it really depends on staffing levels within that hospital. So you may find that you might work in departments that you're not really fond of. So moving on to agency, the registration process is exactly the same. It's generally advised to apply for at least 2 agencies, 3 being a sweet spot, plus your hospital bank. And this provides a variability in terms of available shifts, vacancies, and continuous workflow. Now, registering for different agencies can also be time consuming. So I'm happy that I came across Mesli. This isn't an advertisement. Big shout out to Mesli, because what they are is basically a company that I found that basically streamline all the documents you need and they send it to different agencies. So rather than trying to apply to each agency separately, you can register on Mesli, put your details there, and then they will send out your information to different agencies. You can also tailor your specific requirements, interests, such as no nights, twilight shifts, or long days. If you want ad hoc or long-term contracts, Mesli can help sort that out. So big shout out to them because they made the registration process a lot easier for me when it came to agency. The advantages of working through agency is that generally the hourly rate is higher than bank. This does vary from agency to agency, and it does depend on geographical location, as mentioned earlier in the video. You're more likely to work in your favorite department because the agency looks to work across a wide range of hospitals across a wide area, increasing the likelihood of you finding your preferred environment. You have the opportunity to travel to different parts of the country, experience work in different hospitals, and broaden your clinical horizon, adding to your repertoire and experience and building your confidence. Some disadvantages to be aware about though. This varies from person to person, so let me know if you can relate to this. But I find agencies have fewer jobs available in general, and I think that's the reason why they advise to register with more than one agency. You can't pay into your personal pension, you get 0 annual leave, 0 sick pay, maternity pay. And in some cases, hospitals will cancel your shift if they find a cheaper alternative. So it's even more of an area of instability being with an agency. Also, getting references for any career progression may be difficult due to the inconsistency in work. There's some interesting facts that I didn't know about until recently. Apparently there's a hidden tax burden where essentially the amount of money you get paid represents a smaller percentage of the total amount of money gained from your work. So imagine the trust pays an agency £400 for the day. For example, random number. The agency deducts its own rate, which includes things like holiday pay, the apprenticeship levy, and something called national insurance before arriving at your gross salary. And that gives you a gross salary of £300, for example, again, random number. Then from that, your usual tax deductions are done, giving you a take-home pay. So compare that to bank work, where you get a larger proportion of your money earned for your work. But that makes sense because agencies need to fund themselves somehow. But yeah, your work pays for them, so you get less of the chunk done for your work. Something to bear in mind. So it's all well and good talking about this, being a locum, lifestyle, how can it affect you? But what does this mean for the NHS? What's the bigger picture and how does this affect patient care? Last year, the total NHS budget was approximately £178 billion and is projected to reach the height of approximately £203 billion for the 2025-26 financial year. As you can see from the graph, NHS spending is expected to rise in coming years, reflecting increased demand for services. This is already at a point where patient waiting times are at an all-time high. In just 10 years, the percentage of patients waiting for more than 4 weeks for specialist appointments has risen by around 47%. So yeah, it's clear to see that the NHS is under tremendous financial pressure. So what does this mean for patient care and how is the problem being tackled? Do you invest more GDP? Or do you find ways to cut costs? What's the government doing? Well, it looks like it's doing a bit of both. And the effect of that strategy is trickling down into what we're experiencing as locums, with more shifts being cancelled now than in previous years. Last year, the total cost of agency staff to the NHS was approximately £3 billion, and it seems like the government is aiming to banish agency work altogether, with nearly £1 billion saved last year due to the Health and Social Secretary imposing spending limits on agency staff. These savings have been reported to help increase resident doctor pay and improve the quality of patient care by reducing waiting times. So what does this mean for the future? Has the golden era of locum work as a doctor come to an end? Or will it be around for a long time more? Who knows? What if there's never enough staff to fill in these gaps? Given the significant exodus of doctors leaving the UK, how will that affect patient care? Or what about the opposite? What if one day the government decided to just double the amount of GDP invested in healthcare and the workforce is oversaturated with doctors, so much so that agency and bank staff are no longer required? Who knows what the future will tell? Personally, I've enjoyed the past year and a half of being a locum doctor. I've been able to tackle some financial goals, I've been able to travel, gain new experience, develop myself as a doctor, and I feel like I've gained greater confidence in my clinical practice. So looking back, I don't think I would change anything being a locum doctor, but I do feel that it's not a sustainable path given the significance and talks around NHS funding and the future. And in my experience of seeing shifts being cancelled and having less available shifts from a particular source, for example. So yeah, I feel like for me it's not sustainable. I do want to finish my training at some point, but I do feel that in the near future, there's always going to be a need for locums. So I don't see this style of work disappearing anytime soon, but I wouldn't be surprised if at some point in the future, there will be far less available jobs and being just a locum doctor may be less sustainable, but who knows? Hopefully not, because I believe it's an opportunity to help increase longevity in this career, provide a better work-life balance, and overall a holistic approach to this profession. But who knows? Let me know if you've had similar or complete different experience. I'm open for dialogue, let's have a chat. But yeah, that finishes the video. Hope you enjoyed, and if you did, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.